Let's learn about a couple more trigger context variables in this video. The first one is before, which is again a boolean variable, and it returns true if the trigger was fired before any record was saved. And as you have guessed, the second one is after, and this one returns true if the trigger was fired after all the records were saved. So we are going to use this context variable in our existing lead trigger, and we are going to modify some of our logic there. So let's go back to our developer console and make some changes. So here in this lead trigger, everything is working fine and we can update our lead source. We have a validation rule on the industry field. But what if I add one more event in this trigger? What if I add after update as well here? Because as per Salesforce best practice, we should only have one single trigger per object. So we need to handle all our events in one single trigger. So if I add after update here, will it work fine? Let's save our code and make some changes to our lead records. Maybe let's close this one. Let's open an existing record where the after update can also fire. Let's go to details and maybe let's change the title. Not the title, let's change the salutation and click on save. This is still working fine, but now I'll make some change to my lead trigger here. I'm going to comment this condition here so that this piece of code fires for all type of events. Currently what is happening, even if the lead source is blank, then we update the lead source in our before update, and when the after update kicks off, this lead source field is not blank at that time. So if I'll comment this if condition and save this trigger again, then this piece of code or this line should execute each time, or this should execute for all type of events. So I'll go back to my lead page one more time and I'm going to make this none. And now let's try to save it. So here we have got an exception, and it says that this particular record is read only in the after update trigger. The reason is when you try to modify the record on which the trigger is running inside the after triggers like after update or after insert, at that time that particular record is read only and you cannot make any changes. So this piece of code will not work. So how can I overcome this without having this if condition? Again, this is a simple use case, but in real world you'll get more complex use case where you need to handle all type of events in your triggers. Here I'm just trying to mimic some of the functionality just to demonstrate how you can use these context variables to control the logic within your trigger. So if you do not want this lead source line to run inside the after triggers, then what you can do, you can have an if condition here which should be like trigger dot is before. If it is true, then only we are going to execute this line. So I have added a different condition here where I'm checking if this is a before trigger, then only I'll change my lead source field. So now if I'll go back to my lead page again and hit on save, this should work. Our lead source field is updated to other. So you can use this is before or is after like based on your use case, and this will work for all before events like before insert, before update and before delete, and is after will work for all after events like after insert, after update, after delete and after undelete. So that's all in this video. In the next video, we are going to learn few more trigger context variables that you'll be using very frequently.